Hi, I'm Ordinary Cadet Twells with Nottingham Sea Cadets, and today I will be running through the lessons of the Army's ranks and rates. So this includes officer rates and soldier rates. So we'll start with soldier. So in the beginning, the soldier rates, they begin off, when they finish basic training, they become a private or can become troopers, gunners, signallers, sappers, guardsmen, riflemen or kingsmen, depending on the regiment they choose to serve with. And then they can be promoted to Lance Corporal, which is after initial training or about 4 years as a private. Lance Corporals are required to supervise a small team of up to 4 soldiers called a section. They also have opportunities to specialise and undertake specialist military training. They have 1 chevron going downwards on their rank slide. So after 6 to 8 years, and depending on ability to lead, Lance Corporals may get promotion to a corporal. In this rank, additional trade and instructor qualifications will be gained or could be gained. Corporals are given command of more soldiers and equipment such as tanks and guns. Then the sergeant role. After corporal, you can be promoted to sergeant. Sergeant is typically the most senior role of responsibility, which probably takes about 12 years of service depending on ability. Sergeants are typically second in command of a troop or platoon of 35 soldiers, which the important responsibility for advising and assisting junior officers. Staff sergeant. After a few years as a sergeant, promotion to either staff or colour sergeant may follow. This is the more senior sergeant role, which combining men and resource management of around 120 soldiers or even a command of a platoon or troop. Then you can become a warrant officer, which is focused on training, welfare and discipline of a company, squadron or battery of up to 120 soldiers. This is Warrant Officer Class 2. So Warrant Officer Class 2 acts as the most senior advisors to the major in command of the sub-unit and may be selected for commission as an officer. So that you are given a choice when you get to Warrant Officer Class 2 to become a officer. If not, you could work your way up to Warrant Officer Class 1, which brings us on to Warrant Officer Class 1. It's the most senior soldier rank in the British Army, typically reached after 18 years of outstanding service. Warrant Officer 1 is the most senior advisors of the unit commanding officer with leadership, discipline and warfare responsibilities. So you are basically the most senior soldier you have, and this is because you haven't chosen to go for an officer. So all their responsibilities could be up to 165 officers and soldiers and also equipment. So now moving on to the officer side of the British Army. You start off as an officer cadet. This is usually held at the Royal Military Academy Sandhurst or in the University Officers Training Corps. Then when you graduate from the Military Academy Sandhurst, you get the rank second lieutenant. It is usually held for 1 to 2 years. During the time as a second lieutenant, officers complete special to arms training relevant to their corps. After training is complete, they are responsible to leading up to 30 soldiers in a platoon or troop, both in training and on operations. They have 1 star on their rank side. Lieutenant is the next promotion from the second lieutenant, and this role is typically held for 2 to 3 years. They normally command a platoon or troop of around 30 soldiers with increased responsibilities from being a second lieutenant, as it is the next rate from second lieutenant. They also have opportunities to gain specialist skills outside their unit. Right, so the next one, that is 2 chevrons on their rate slide thingy. The next one is the captain rate. It's usually held, this is the next promotion after lieutenant. This rate is usually held 5 to 10 years. Captains are usually made, made, so not always. Second in command of a subunit up to 120 soldiers. They are key players in the planning and decision-making process with tactical responsibility for operations on ground as well as equipment maintenance, logistics support and manpower. So after captain, you go to major. Typically a major will be given command of a subunit of up to 120 officers and soldiers with responsibility for their training, welfare and administration, both in camp and operations, as well as management of their equipment. They have no chevrons on this rate, it's just a crown. So then you get to Lieutenant Clone. This rate holds a chevron with a crown above it, and it is typically known to command units of up to 165 soldiers containing 4 or 5 subunits known as the commanding officer. They are responsible for overall operation effectiveness of their unit in terms of military capability, welfare and general discipline. Commanding officer is typically a 2-year appointment, so they would sit in this command unit for 2 years and then probably be given another one, so they're not in the same unit all the time. After Lieutenant Clone, it is a clone. Clones are not usually field commanders except in the Royal Army Medical Corps. They typically serve as staff officers between field commands at battalion or brigade levels. It is the lowest of the staff ranks and they are principal to senior officers. This is the 2-star thingies with a crown above. A brigadier, aka 1-star. Brigadier is not considered a general officer rank by the British Army, but rather a field officer rank. Brigadiers can command a brigade or be a director of operational capability groups, such as director of staff. This is 3 chevrons. That's 3 chevrons as sergeant. This is 3 stars with a crown above it. Next one's Major General, aka 2 stars. Major General commands formations of division size and the RMAS, which is Royal Military Academy Sandhurst, and hold senior staff appointments in the Ministry of Defence and other headquarters. This is the star with like a sword and a paste stick crossed at the bottom, and this star thing is above. Lieutenant General, aka 3-star. Lieutenant Generals command formations of corps sizes and other commands in the UK and overseas. They also hold very senior staff appointments in the MOD, which is the Ministry of Defence, and other headquarters. This is the sword and paste stick type thing crossed, but instead of star thingy, they hold a crown above it. General, aka 4-star. Generals hold the most senior appointments, such as Chief of Defence Staff, Vice Chief of Defence Staff, Staff and the General Staff, Deputy Supreme Allied Commander Europe, and Commander-in-Chief Land Forces. So, this is the most senior general as such, and the most second senior officer rate in the British Army. This one is the chevron thingy, not chevron. I keep saying chevron. I don't mean chevron. It's a star type thing with the paste stick and sword crossed, paste stick and knife at the bottom with the crown above. And then finally on to the last one, Field Marshal, the highest British rank in the British Army since 1736. The rank of Field Marshal has become an honorary rank, with the last active officer to be promoted to the rank, which was in 1994. This is a wreath with what looks like an X in the middle with a crown above it. Thank you for listening. Hopefully you learned some stuff from this video. Please comment if you have, or please comment what I should do better. Thank you for listening. This has been Ordinary Cadet 12.